You
Hi.
remember, obviously, the messaging that came around the Exxons and Halliburtons when we went into Iraq. Now, I guess we're just saying it out loud here. The fact of the matter is, if we get to $4 a gallon gas and it remains stubborn, these words could haunt the president, no?
Absolutely. But let's remember the president's not running for reelection again. And he
Yeah.
always has a surprise tweet or Truth Social. Listen, I hope that the markets and the oil prices will shake out. I mean, obviously, it's better right now than it was last night. And there's some things that are being put in place from what I understand. And actually, your
Mhm.
guest just beforehand was talking about some of them and also the pipelines in Saudi Arabia and UAE. But listen,
Yeah.
I'm probably a little more conservative on this issue. Especially with my Bush days and knowing Iran, Iraq, just that part of the world a little bit, that I think that the
Hmm.
president, the last thing he's worrying about right now, or when he attacked Iran, was the fact that what the midterms were going to be about. I think this is a once in a
Hmm.
generational opportunity to take out these leaders. They're horrific leaders, and they understood. We understood. Our allies understood what would happen with the oil prices. So hopefully, it's only day, what is it now, 8 or 9? I think we're starting 9
Yep.
actually. So hopefully this will be. We will have things in place that will help the oil prices, but also make sure the Iranian people are safe and have a democracy that they can live.
Hmm. But I was wondering yesterday if it was the clock change because everyone was calling it day 9 yesterday. It was a week on Saturday, right? I'm confused, Ashley. I'm following your count right now. I'm going to call it 9
Yeah,
today.
I
But it's
think
interesting
I
that
guess it was yeah, 9, 10.
this will
It's
come
all
home
kind
at
of
this
there.
retreat. It doesn't matter, of course, but the president's talking to the rank and file, the House Republican conference at retreat down in Miami, and I think they're at Doral, right? He's going to
Yes.
talk around 5 o'clock. What will he tell members who are acutely aware of everything you just said? Donald Trump's not on the ballot, but I am, and these are the prices that my constituents are paying. How do we message this so everyone understands what Ashley's talking about?
First of all, I think this is a really hard message for Republicans because, and I've said this many times, I mean, most people, especially on the Republican side, do not want us to be at war anywhere. There's very few people that do, especially in the MAGA world. I mean, you see that the splintering of that a little bit. I
Hmm.
always also say that unless you have the intelligence that a president of the United States has or some of his team to understand how truly bad these people are, your
That's right.
ignorance is bliss for most of America, right? But I think
That is true.
he's going to say probably nice, hopefully a little better than what he did on True Social, is to tell that hopefully this is a short time pain to have something that is better for the United States in the long run. Again, that's going to have to be something that the rank and file Republicans are going to have to believe and trust him on, especially the ones that lived through the Iraq war and Afghanistan war. But there's
Hmm.
not that many of them anymore. Maybe in the Senate, not the House. There's so much turnover.
Interesting.
But I think that he's going to give the same message. And then listen, we're still far out. I'm always a big believer that we have until maybe July for the economy to get where it needs to be. And then after that, the summer happens and then early voting starts. So we'll
Hmm.
see.
Yes, indeed, we shall. When you think about a seventh American killed in combat as well, the president has, while he did attend the dignified transfer at Dover, and I do want to know that. I know people made a big deal about him wearing a hat, which you may or may not care about, Ashley. The fact that we're going to see more, as he continues to say, and the fact that Pete Hegseth suggested that this was some sort of fake news thing that the media wants to always talk about what's going wrong. It's an important moment when an American dies in the line of duty. And I wonder how nervous members are about that. The idea of boots on the ground not being ruled out, seeing these caskets come home means what, if anything, on the midterm trail?
I mean, obviously, the loss of life is horrific. And I think the hardest thing for the president, any president, no matter who it is putting our troops into harm's way, knowing that they could be their son or daughter. So I think that there's going to be, that's something that will weigh on him, the president, and the team for a long time. However, I think that a lot of our military, most of our military sign up to make sure that they're protecting our country, and that's exactly what they're doing, and they're dying as a hero. So, and taking the opportunity right now to make sure that we are thanking our troops for serving and protecting us. I mean, we have to remember that Iran and their allies, or their subsidiaries, so to speak, Hezbollah and the other terrorist groups, in a matter of less than a year, they tried to attack us 180 times throughout the world.
Yeah.
Us meaning American assets. So it's not something that is made up, that how bad that they would like America to die and to be destroyed. So
Yes.
I think it's very important. But I also feel that, going back to your question, I don't know if that's what's going to impact the midterms, but I also feel that there is a little bit of conversation that's misconstrued on this boots on the ground, because from what I understand, the boots on the ground are going to be our special forces that are going
Yeah.
to go in strategically, like whether it's part of
Right.
the CIA or Navy SEALs or whatever. It's not going to be like an invasion like maybe we saw in
Right.
Afghanistan.
Yeah, as opposed to an occupation. They're talking about potentially seizing that enriched uranium and maybe seizing Karg Island, both of which would be big deals. Ashley, we've got a couple minutes, and I have to ask you about DHS. This is going to come up, of course, at the Republican retreat as well. I don't know if you're keeping count on that one, but we're weeks into a partial government shutdown, and there's no one's going to break, I guess, on either side of this. There was a thought last week when Kristi Noem was reassigned, if I can use that word, that might be enough, that new leadership might be enough, that a Mark Wayne Mullen confirmation process might bring enough conversation around that people would vote to, or Democrats would vote to refund the agency. I've got a minute left. How are you looking at this? And to the extent that you know Mark Wayne Mullen, will he bring any change to this agency?
I think yes, no, and I know Mark Wayne from the House days as well. I mean, before he ran for Senate, but listen, I think he's going to have probably more confidence than Kristi Noem had, especially at the end, and especially after some of the ICE issues. He's respected in the Senate. You already have at least Senator Fetterman saying he's going to vote for him. I actually think the tipping point maybe on some of this DHS funding shutdown is maybe the long lines at the airports yesterday or this weekend that are finally starting to happen. And then I think this Friday, the first time TSA will miss a paycheck. So the Senate, some senators would really like Senator Mullen to be confirmed in the next 3 weeks that the Senate's in before they go out for Easter break. So it will be interesting to see if there's some sort of deal negotiated during that time.